start from my right with Tony Gelati.
Tony Gelati.
Maria Lanza.
Philip Ferraroli. Stephen Patrick-Kelly. George Mendoza.
And Devon Sayaparo.
John Brennan.
Reese Cole.
Richie. And Phil's Vice President is going to read the meeting protocol.
The meeting will be conducted according to parliamentary rules. The President will have the final word on the conduct of the meeting and will cast a vote only in the event the rest of the council reaches a tie. The President will recognize the speaker to make their presentation or statement, and then he will permit the council to ask questions. He will then open the floor to questions from the audience. Each audience member should introduce themselves by name and street address. No person will speak until they have been recognized by the President.
Doesn't look like any of our elected officials are here today or anyone from ONS, so I'm going to just get down to our committee reports. And we're David, Marks, and Ryan aren't here tonight, but David sent us an email report from the public safety meeting from this past Thursday, and we're gonna post it on our website at NEWNCBoston.org. So if you want to read the public safety committee report, it'll be on the website tomorrow. But John Craigman does the Greenway Committee, and if you'd like to say a few words.
Sure. So we have Amy and Charlie here tonight, and I'll just say thank you for coming, and if you'd like to just give any sort of brief announcements, then you're welcome to. So, that's pretty much it.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for having us. We'll just take a couple of quick minutes. We can start with a couple of programmatic updates.
Sure. So Charlie McCabe, Director of Health Programs, we are continuing to run the carousel through the New Year's Eve. We're running it on weekends when it's not raining or snowing, usually during the day, and we're going to be running it week between Christmas and New Year's Eve up into about 7 o'clock on New Year's Eve. Some additional kind of programming on New Year's Eve. And the other thing that we've been doing is putting up or getting back all of our winter lights out on the trees. We've decorated a number of trees from the north end all the way down through the wharf and down to Chinatown, and everything seems to be running, especially after the rain and snow that we've had. So kind of a slower season for the Greenway, but we're looking forward to the winter, and then coming the spring we're going to start again. So.
And the other piece I would add is we are working on putting together a formal process for some temporary and long-term uses for Parcel 12. So we will actually do a formal presentation hopefully at your January meeting, and we'll work with the President to schedule that. We'll bring additional staff in as well. We're excited about that process and what we can do, and we're looking forward to it. And hopefully have a public meeting in February on horticulture improvements moving forward as well.
Yeah, and we've, as the council knows and those who were present or watched Matt's video, Ruff made a presentation last month about Parcel 12. We've been in constant communication. I spoke to them after the meeting, met with them, Amy and Charlie have as well, and we will be continuing to meet with them and also discuss anyone else who has any ideas for Parcel 12 as well to see what best is, what could be best suited there for the community. So, but that's it, Steve.
Thank you, John. Does anyone have any questions for the Greenway? Thank you. Patrick Lyons from Representative Lightfoot's office is here, so I want to recognize him. We have one more. There's something on the. I have someone here who's not on the agenda, but we typically don't have candidates come in here, but we don't refuse. I don't deny someone seeking public office. I usually give them a few minutes of our time, but we typically don't, unless you're an elected official, we don't put you on the agenda. But I've never been asked by a gubernatorial candidate if they can get a couple minutes at the neighborhood council. So Evan Falchuk is here. He's an independent candidate for mayor. For governor of Massachusetts, and I'm going to let him speak for about 10 minutes and answer some questions. So, thank you. Evan Falchuk, thank you.
Thanks, Steve, and really appreciate the opportunity to talk to the council and obviously the guests, and thank you to my friend Carla Jones for the help in meeting. My name is Evan Falchuk. I'm running for governor as an independent, and the reason I'm doing it, well, let me tell you about myself first, and I'll tell you the reason I'm doing it. I grew up here in the Boston area in Newton, Mass. My background is in business. I spent the last 14 years as the president of a healthcare company called Best Doctors. It's an employee benefit, help people make sure they've got the right diagnosis when they're facing an illness. During my 14 years, we grew from 9 employees to over 600, about half of them here in Massachusetts. And I learned a lot in that process about the importance in business about being able to articulate a vision, to build consensus around what you want to do about it, to help people understand why it's important to follow your objectives, and then to be accountable for the actions that you take in furtherance of those objectives. And the political process today and government, for sure, is not seen as having any of those characteristics today. People see it as disconnected, polarized, priorities that don't match up with what most voters are looking for. So I decided I wanted to make a change in that, and that's why I founded the United Independent Party. And to create that party and to build the kind of pragmatic future that's based on the values of everyone is equal, everybody's civil rights have to be protected, we have an obligation to help people that are in need, and the government has to spend its money wisely. All right? Now, this is not radical stuff, but the problem that most voters see is that the parties don't represent that anymore in their mind. The majority of voters today in Massachusetts, 53%, have decided not to be enrolled in the Democratic or the Republican Party. It's the majority of voters today that are independent. And we did a survey earlier this year that showed that 58% of voters in Massachusetts wanted to see a new independent party based on the values that I described: fiscally sensible, pragmatically progressive. 58%. So the opportunity is there now, in this particularly challenging time in the politics of the United States, to create a new party here in Massachusetts. I'll give you two statistics here as I prepare to take some questions from you. In the special election for the Senate that happened earlier this year, only 27% of voters participated. It's a really dismal showing for a pretty important race. That might be one of them. 27% of voters participated. In our state legislature, 63% of the races over the last 2 election cycles had no opposition in them. So these are symptoms of a larger problem in our democratic process that can only be changed by creating something that helps takes us out of this left-right debate that most of us are not interested in being. Most of us never wanted to be in the first place, and it doesn't represent what we're capable of doing. So I'm very happy to take questions on the specific things that I want to do and I know are possible to do if we can create a new avenue and a new platform for new, smart, independent people to become involved in our political process. So please, I've got time to answer whatever you'd like.
Does anyone have any questions? It's the first time that I know of that someone running for governor came to neighborhood council.
I can add a couple things.
You can add as much
I can fill as much time as is needed. You know, as I've traveled across the state, I've been in more than 65 cities and towns across Massachusetts since I announced that I was running back in February. And I make a special effort to make sure that I'm going to all kinds of places where you don't see most candidates go to. It's actually striking to me that other candidates haven't wanted to come here because this is obviously an important organization. But I've learned something about how the process works and why it is so disconnected. The party candidates, the Democrats and the Republicans, to get the nomination of their party must go through the town committees of either the Democratic or Republican parties in all the 351 cities and towns across the state. That means that they spend their time meeting with those committees and not with ordinary voters. So I've been in places as diverse as Lowell, for example, meeting voters, coming across. I was with a group of my staff. I've got 12 full-time staff, hundreds of volunteers all across the state. And a voter came up to me, she said, "Who's this Falchuk guy?" Because they're holding signs. And I said, it's me. And she said, you know, I like you. I'm voting for you just on general principles because you came here. She said, we don't see candidates out here in Lowell meeting voters. Now the irony of that is that just a couple weeks before that had been the Democratic convention in Lowell, where the candidates were. But the mentality of what's happened in politics today is that they stay in their closed off groups and not out there with regular voters, not getting into conversations with people where you don't know what they're going to ask you. You don't know what's going to happen. In that same part of the state, we had an event a couple weeks ago in Lawrence. My family comes from Venezuela, so I speak Spanish. And that's a community where you'd say, boy, this is a place where most voters are satisfied with the way that the government is working. But I'll tell you what they told me there too. They said, no one listens to us. The priorities they're dealing with in Boston, I don't know why they're doing the things that they're doing. Candidates will come up here to get our votes, but then we don't see them again. I heard the same thing in North Adams, in the western part of the state. A person there said to me, well, it's really great that someone from the eastern part of the state came out here. said, you know, in my business, I used to travel all over the world, and to drive 2 hours, get up in the morning, drive 2 hours to go to another part of our state, meet with voters, and then come home. You shouldn't get extra points for doing that, but for some reason today, you do. I don't think that's good enough. I know we could do better than that.
Very good. Are you planning on setting up an office in the Boston area, or do you have offices here already?
Yeah, our headquarters are at 177 Tremont, so right at the corner of Wilson and Tremont. I've got two of my staff here. Janella Clark is my director of finance, and John Rodriguez is my field director. And as I said, we've got 12 staff. Most of them are there. Some of them are in different parts of the state. We're looking at space in other parts of the state as well as the organization grows and our momentum.
Have you chosen anyone yet?
Not yet, not yet. But it's been interesting because think about this for a second. I'll have one. And the goal here is let's win, right? You get 3% of the vote. Let me actually tell you an interesting fact here. In Massachusetts, if you're a Democrat or Republican, those are the only two recognized parties. The law says that you're allowed to raise $15,000 per person per year to support your campaign, right? So you could write me a check for $15,000. As an independent, I'm only allowed to raise $1,000 per person per year. So if you wrote me a check for $15,000, I'd have to get back $14,000 of it. These are by rules that were created by the Democrats and Republicans. The current version of the Massachusetts campaign finance law was signed into law by Governor Romney with the support of the legislature. So non-controversial was an amendment to a budget bill. Those are the structural reasons why in a state where the majority of voters are independent, we don't see independent elected officials. So once we get past 3% of the vote in the 2014 election, then we become an official party, United Independent. And that means for the 2016 election, we can start to put candidates on the ballot. And then you say, well, given that there's so few, only 11% of voters in Massachusetts are registered Republicans, 35% are Democrats, you could see where after the 2016 election, United Independent would not be a third party, but rather the second party. And that would really represent a major change in the politics of our state and show people in other states what's possible when voters that just want to see common sense solutions put into place, organized.
Do you have any examples of some of the things that you would do to change the bureaucracy in Boston?
In the city of Boston, Massachusetts, yeah. Well, look, I've got two things that are really important to me. One of them is that what I hear all around the state is that people think the state isn't spending its money wisely. And I mean, everyone has seen so many examples of this. Every 3% of money that could be saved, and I don't mean saved so we can cut taxes, I mean reallocated, is $1 billion a year that could be spent for lots of things. We've got lots of examples as we dig through the budget that we know we can put in place. The other thing which is very important, I say this as a business person, healthcare costs in Massachusetts are the highest in the country by a lot. And the biggest driver of this has been well documented by the Attorney General, who's running for governor, but isn't doing anything about this issue, is the over-concentration of market power in the 3 insurance companies that have 79% of the market and the 5 or 6 hospital systems that have 72% of the market. And under any sensible reading of our antitrust laws, this shouldn't be allowed to happen. And it's the biggest cost driver is all the price increases that are happening on the hospital side. That can be changed if we had leadership that said, okay, you guys aren't going to be able to do this anymore. We'll stop those mergers from happening, prevent prices from going up in the way that they are because they're not tied to market realities, which would immediately flow through to lower premiums for small business owners and consumers. I can't think of anything that have a bigger, more broad-based impact on the Massachusetts economy than reducing everybody's health insurance premiums by a few points. It's dollars right in the pocket of every small business owner.
And what do you think, other than that, fiscally, what would you do for small businesses, corporations, that sort of thing in Massachusetts? Would you take a meeting on a regular basis?
Yes, indeed. And I think one of the challenges is that so much of state policy and federal policy making is geared towards big companies. Of course, these big companies get a lot of money, so of course they make policy work that way. As a small business person, we never got anything from the state. So we need to have small business the small and medium-sized business be the centerpiece of so much of what the government does. And I've laid out in much more detail on the website. You can see in there and on my website different kinds of programs to help those companies that are in the middle. You know, there's the real startup companies that, you know, I'm talking about a person that has a shop that does something, okay, that's hard. But there are the companies that make it past there where they could use more job training skills. And I'm not talking about for their workers, I'm saying for the entrepreneurs. I've worked with a really cool program called Interize that works with entrepreneurs in that middle that helps them get the skills they need to help move their company up to not have 2 employees, but maybe 5 or 7 or 10. that's where job growth is happening in the 21st century. Government needs to be focused on that. It's not, and it can't.
Very good. Anyone else? Thank you. You're welcome
Very grateful
anytime.
for the opportunity. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you. And check out lots of information there. You can go to our website, Facebook. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, number 6 on the agenda, 263 Hanover Street, modification. John Piccarello and Sarah McGee are seeking joint use for opening bakery and cafe with takeout service in the former location of Piccola Venezia. They've also applied for a transfer of Piccola Venezia's malt wine and cordials license for use in the new cafe. Modification will operate in both the new location, 263 Hanover Street, and its original store, 261. You guys can step up right here and just go over.
This is the abundance.
Thank you, George.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is George Dubois. Here to represent the Piccarello family. They're all here from Modern Pastry, and we're seeking from you favorable approval for two things. One is to transfer the beer wine cordial license from the Piccola Venezia to Modern Pastry, and to support a change in the use of the premises. Right now, it's zoned as a restaurant, full restaurant, and the Piccarello is going to change the concept a little bit. They're going to have maintained restaurant sit down, but only for cannolis, coffee, and light fare, light Italian fare. And they're also going to have takeout similar to what they have now in the bakery. They're going to have sit down. I have a set of plans. I only have one set, however, I'll just show you what the inside of the premises is going to look like. And right now the zoning code permits both a bakery and a restaurant. However, when you want to combine the two uses, which you're proposing to do, you need Board of Appeal approval. And as far as the transfer of the license, we have a board hearing of January 22nd before the City of Boston Licensing Board.
January 22nd?
Yes, sir.
So they're both allowed uses, but if you have to combine them, you need to.
Right. One is,
That makes sense.
One is, the restaurant is allowed as a conditional use, but the Piccola Venezia had gotten a variance in 1993. So that's a permitted use now.
Okay.
The bakery is a permitted use too. So, but as soon as you combine the two or change the conditional use, you need Board of Appeal approval. Essentially, Modern Pastry, as you know, is a family-operated business. It's been in the North End probably before a lot of us have been born. John Piccarello, the chief of the family, is here. I told him not to say anything. I'll answer all the questions you put to him. And his wife is here. You probably see them behind the counter. Most of you know me because I come before these boards, but only to oppose things that are anti-North End. I have an office at 213 Hanover Street. I've been here since the early 80s. And I appreciate the authentic, real North Enders who stuck it out. And Piccarello's a qualified. Haven't been here probably since the 40s. At one point they lived in 257 Hanover Street. They've since moved to Medford. They still own the building. We're here to answer any questions, answer any concerns, and at the end we hope that you will vote favorably on this. Again, this is a family business. It's gone from the parents who still work the business to the next generation, to their children, and they hope to make the establishment a proud establishment, so people can be proud of another fine establishment in North End for people that are truly North Enders. And again, without being redundant, I ask you to vote favorably. And any questions, please?
These are abutting buildings, right?
Yes.
And they're going to operate separately, correct?
Separately, yes. and I'll explain if you want.
It's the modification, I don't have any questions on the modification.
Are they gonna connect?
No, they can't, right now, we can't connect. And that's the reason why we need two separate licenses. And we borrowed a significant amount of money to buy the Piccolo Venezia, and it's public record, it's quite a bit of money. And
Buffalo building, right?
The building, yeah. The building has apartments, and the restaurant that has been gutted out is gonna be converted to the mixed use of a sit-down, you call it cafe, but it's really restaurant. We need to, because there's no, I don't think there's any cafe designation in the code, they call it restaurant. And there's gonna be a lot of takeout, and primarily because, you know, there's a lot of lines outside the property, and we feel that this two business operating in tandem is gonna alleviate a lot of the wait time. A lot of people will wait inside versus outside, especially in the inclement weather. As you know, a lot of the business is done around the holidays, and sometimes the weather is incorporated in November or December.
Is this gonna be a you said like this, so I'm assuming it's not a restaurant?
No.
When he has pizza and everything?
Pizza, calzone.
You're doing kind of like what you're doing there now for sit-down service,
Exactly.
that you're doing for pastries and coffee, you're gonna add some savory things, pretty much.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's a restaurant, you know, with a baker's touch. Very good.
So
More bakers than
when you
restaurants.
say-
Yeah, but you know, we're talking pizza, also you're talking about the things that you do that, you know, I mean, your croissants, you should make a nice croissant sandwich, I tell you, those things are delicious, so, you know, for example. Among other things, you know, I'm getting hungry thinking about it.
Are you gonna have separate signs?
Sorry?
Are you gonna have separate signs?
We don't know yet. We're gonna try to incorporate the one sign, but we're not sure yet.
That would be nice if you could.
Yeah, we're gonna try. Right now, they're staging, they're gonna redo the whole front of the building, the masonry work, and unfortunately, putting up the staging, they broke the existing sign, so we're gonna have to try to do something.
They were doing that today, right? The staging?
Yeah.
Where are you at in construction right now? So you're good right now, you got all your permits?
We have all our permits.
Doing all the rough and all that stuff, right?
That's correct.
So are you gonna have the same sign, or are you gonna?
Oh, God, I'll never lose that sign.
No.
That sign's beautiful.
Oh, you broke the modern sign now?
They broke some of the neon today when they were doing this, putting up the staging. So get that repaired.
If it's a staple, it's been on Hanover Street forever, so.
So your grandfather did, so you can't, if you came in front of us today, you wouldn't get neon.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We like that one though.
Even they're gonna have it's gonna be the same name,
Oh, yeah, the mod, yes.
two places would be more than they
Both of them, yes, absolutely.
Are you gonna offer different things on either side, or is it, how's that going?
We don't know yet, but we're gonna test the waters, but, you know, we're gonna probably offer the same on both sides for the time being. At some point in the future, it gets a little more complicated, we'd have to definitely come back again and try to break through a wall. But right now, it's not affordable or feasible, but at some point, it makes more sense to go that route, but we just don't know yet. And unfortunately, at the time being, we need two, the way the law is, you need two licenses, even though you're right next to each other.
Yep. Yeah, I wish you the best of luck, man. I know you guys have been looking to expand for a long time, you deserve it. I'm gonna put this over there if anyone wants to take a look at it, and you can just take off. Does anyone have questions? I know you guys don't have any questions. Does anyone want to make a motion to support?
I'd like to make a motion to support the expansion of Mormon pastry onto the adjacent space.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna do two motions. A motion for the zoning relief, and then I'm gonna motion for the transfer. Is that all right? Just so it's
Perfect,
easy.
yes.
All right? So does anyone want a motion on the?
I want a motion for the zoning relief of the change of occupancy on 263 Hanover Street from restaurant to restaurant and bakery. That's exactly what we're.
And then maintain the, I think it's three, it's right there on the refusal letter, right in front of
Yeah.
Mr. President. That's it.
You got it.
Yeah, change of occupancy from restaurant, 3 apartments, and 3 lodging units to restaurant, bakery, 3 apartments, and 3 lodging units used and cosmetic remodel, relocate 1 bathroom.
I'll second it.
So George motioned, and seconded the motion. So all in favor of changing the occupancy at 263 Hanover from restaurant, 3 apartments, 3 lodging units to restaurant, bakery, 3 apartments and 3 lodging units. All in favor? All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 0. That's the first one. 8-0 on the zoning. And anyone want to make a motion for the transfer of the beer, wine, and cordial?
I'll make a motion.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to apply for a transfer of Piccolo Venezia's malt and wine with cordials license to Modern Pastry at 263 Hanover Street.
I'll second it.
All right, so we have a motion to transfer the malt, wine, and cordials license from Piccola Venezia at 263 to Modern Pastry. It's gonna operate in the same location, correct? 263. All in favor? 8-0. This is one of the easiest meetings in the history of the neighborhood.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You're all invited back to the bakery.
We already go there all the time. We don't need it back.
Thank you very much and have a
Thank
great
you.
holiday. Thank you.
Is anyone here from the 7-Eleven?
Just call.
Shall you 7-Eleven closes off?
Right? January.
So I'm gonna adjourn the meeting. 7-Eleven is a no-show.
How much time will we have?
So I'm gonna
Unfortunately,
take-
7-Eleven is starting their stay here in the North End as neighbors in the wrong with the wrong attitude and the wrong note by not showing up to the neighborhood council meeting to talk about their signage.
Take this off.
You know, we hope that the community responds accordingly. Thank you.
Meeting adjourned.